That's pretty cool. I have to say, boy, you guys mentioned about GNR a good bit. Actually, they came up to Pittsburgh not too long ago, and actually, one of my friends who works in the restaurant too, because I work a second job. I think I mentioned it to Jeff actually when we were exchanging messages back and forth. But she actually went to that GNR concert, and it was not packed. It was still a good crowd, but it wasn't as packed as I guess it normally would have been in like the '80s or something like that.
Yeah.
But you also notice too, like how age kind of affected.
Yeah.
I think more so Axel, because I guess he wasn't able to do his same vocal ranges like he used to. One example was more on Mr. Brownstone, where he had like pause for a specific part during the chorus. So kind of losing the edge a little bit, but you still give him credit for kind of going out too. That's kind of how it was with Ozzy Osbourne, still trying to do this and that. And then I think if he was still alive, I think Lemmy Kilsinger for Motorhead, he would have still gone until the day he died. Then he had the Stones. Unfortunately, Charlie Watts had passed away, and then you still got Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, and everybody else try to still go at it too. So
Keith Richards is going to live forever. I think he'd live through a nuclear holocaust at this point.
I'm going to say maybe the story in the Ashes probably was a key to immortality or something like that. So, I'm surprised he actually would actually tell that story in an interview too, because I feel like I'd be ashamed, to be honest. I'd be like, you just stored your dad's ashes, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know that I trust anybody that plays a 5-string guitar in open G tuning. Like that's
right
to me.
I'm gonna say that's more of the deathcore sort of bands, because I think I was looking up the sheet music for like one song in particular from one of those deathcore groups. That's literally all it was. Yeah. And maybe just every now and again just put one finger on. That was it. I think like it still sounds good, but that's really all it was.
Yeah. It's a very specific sound.
And it's still music. I mean, there you go. You can still get away with it. Yep. So, all right. So let's try to get into some challenges of being an indie musician too. So I guess what sort of challenges do you guys face on a daily basis of being indie musicians, as well as, I guess, working a full-time job?
So like for me, I travel so much, and just making time with my family that I normally would give them, and I have to split up dad and husband time to be with these guys to produce this stuff, and that's really been a struggle. That's been tough, but fortunately my wife, she's very supportive of what we do, and she's our biggest fan. Like she loves the music, she loves the message, and she's very supportive. But for me, it's been a learning curve for sure, how to balance my personal life with a public life. It's difficult from time to time. Like I've been up for 26 hours right now, but it's necessary. I feel a calling. I feel that we as a group have a calling on our life, and I'm willing to sacrifice myself to see the calling through. And fortunately, so are they. So it makes it worth it. The struggle is the journey's worth struggling.
I'm gonna say you're jacked up on coffee, right? Able to stay awake right now.
Yeah, I've drunk like 6 Red Bulls in the past 4 hours.
It's basically like a Mexican jumping beam before you know it. So
then I'll crash and sleep for 14 hours straight.
Do not disturb Sleeping Beauty. So, all right, Jeff.
My job, my work phone's right here at my feet. Like I said, I'm a lineman by trade. My dad was a lineman, and I graduated high school and went straight to a line crew, building power lines. And so I've worked my way up through the industry. It's all I've ever done. And worked myself up, kept my nose clean, worked hard, and the Lord has blessed me and my journey through my work. And but my work phone's right here. It's 24/7, 7 days a week for work. But I make it work, and I got that. I've got, I actually pastor a church. So I've got that I've called to do in my life, and love it. Love my church family. Love the church that I pastor. They're very supportive of what I do. I've got three kids. I've got my oldest son, 25, with 2 grandbabies, trying to make more. But my oldest son is very understanding when it comes to that, because my middle son, he started college and he's working part on his feet now, and his life's getting started. And I got my youngest son, who, like Kevin's son, we go a lot of places playing baseball, and that's his passion. He usually plays from March to October, and so juggling that and plus making crucial time for this. This is not a hobby. This is something that I feel that we're called to do, and deep down we need to continue this and keep pushing to further this, and just let God have his way with it. So there's challenging in it. My wife, she's very supportive too. She knows that I do got a lot going on, but I have found a way through prayer, and I've got a few things. I coached before, but I don't coach no more. So I kind of got that, out of the way. Prayed about some things and some other things. My other 2 sons of what they're doing, but my wife, she's very supportive. I thank God she is, because without her supporting it, I wouldn't get to do this. I would not get to play music. I wouldn't get to be with these guys, recording, doing this podcast with you, and we're very thankful that you have had us on here today. And so, yeah, there's a lot of giving in our lives, all 3 of our lives, for this music and for the other things we do in our lives, but when there's a will, there's a way. When there seemeth not to be a way, God makes a way, always. So, yeah, there's where I'm at with all this, loving every minute of it. Jamie's got a saying, he says all the time, enjoy the season you're in. And recently I been writing a song, and that lyrics actually, that quote is in that song, that who knows when it'll be released. It may be 2 or 3 years from now, but enjoying the season you're in. I believe you have to enjoy, no matter how much the walls feels like they're closing in. And I've been learning this, in this past 6-7 months. I've been praying about this, when these pressures start coming in, God, you say, cast all your cares upon you. You need to carry this for me, because I can't carry this. You've got to carry this for me. And to be honest with you, it's like it's been leaving my mind, these things, that we pack weight around in life sometimes, things that don't mean a hill of beans, and I've been growing through this process too, to be more letting things go and let God just do his thing. I understand, being in the faith without works is dead. We got to put legwork behind it, but we also always got to remember that the work he begins in you, he is able to finish it. It's nothing to what we do, So he's able to do it if you let him help you with it. And that's with anything in life, I'm long-winded sometimes, Brian. You got to overlook me.
No, you got to just hope Jamie's not falling asleep right there.
What is it? What was the question?
I'm sorry. They get on to me all the time. I know. It's just me.
We love him. We love him.
Yeah. I was going to say, if he was definitely faking it right there, that was pretty damn good. So, he said it was up 26 hours at this point, so I think he's reaching the empty tank on his Red Bull intake. So
I'm still pretty strong. I'm hanging in there.
Okay, that's all good. Actually, when he was saying about your grandkids too, I think somewhere in his mind he's like, Jesus, I'm old, that sort of thing. So
That's what I was thinking. Like, he is so old. Like, why is he so old?
Yeah, I know.
I want to say you got more of the facial hair too. I think Jamie, you look more like the oldest out of the three here. So
Well,
Thank you, Brian.
I worked underground for 14 years, so that's like I'm like the 38 in dog years. So
so I guess what would it be? A cat years 101 or something.
I feel like it some days. No joke.
Okay. I guess, Kevin, do you need me to rephrase, or do you remember what the question was?
I remember.
Okay.
No, like they said, I mean, it is just it's a time thing. So making sure you balance you got work life, you got personal life, and then you got this music life, and it's not easy. It's not easy to balance all three of those together. Make sure you make time for your family. Like Jeff said, we do baseball, and I coach baseball, so that's another thing that I have to throw into the mix. Another thing I don't think that you don't realize until you're there, which us starting off and okay, we're going to release music, we're going to try to do this. Well, how do we do this, and what process do we go through? And the distribution groups are fantastic, but you can distribute music all you want to. You just don't have marketing, and you don't have. So Jeff, I started off trying to do that stuff, and then Jeff took that over. So that's another thing. You've got to advertise yourself, market yourself to other people, gain followers. Just as far as like the recording process and mixing and mastering, like I'd done that before, but not on this level of. I mean, we put together a whole album in less than a year and had it released. So that was mixing, mastering, recording, songwriting ideas, all that. So it was YouTube. Now suddenly I'm making all kinds of money. Don't make that much money from streams and things like that.
Make that money. That's what.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those that's hard as an independent musician. That a lot of it's a lot of sacrifice, not only with your time, but every second you up, you have to do this on your own. So that's one of the big struggles, I think, too.
And to add,
I'll say he was being eclipsed.
To add,
That's
saying and then throughout the recording process, Kevin would sit in and he would play. Okay, he's going to play this part because I played all the music up to here. Then this is Kevin's part. So 90% of the music that we recorded, we had only just played bits and pieces of it between the both of us. So now we're playing shows. So then he has to take the time to sit down and actually learn the music, from start to finish. So that takes time, plus the time you grind out together as a complete group. Like it's like the time. The balance of time is nearly impossible. Like if you're very active as an independent artist, like the time management, it's insane. Like it's stupid.
Yeah, I can understand too, especially when you're working a full-time job and you got family now, you got kids and everything too.
Yeah.
I guess what sort of baseball do you guys do? Is it a little league?
Kind of. They're like 12, 13-year-olds. Right now, I guess we're considered 14 and under. And it's travel baseball. So it's after Little League and after middle school, junior high baseball's over and such. They go and they travel to different cities, different places in different states and play against other teams just to compete and play tournaments and such. They love doing it. I enjoy it a lot. It's a headache sometimes, but I know the kids love doing it. So
I'm gonna say I think that's more a pony league. I think that's what they call it.
12 and
13-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I do remember my baseball. I did it for a little bit up to Cold League, and then I hung my bat up for good afterwards.
Yeah.
I gotta see what kind of bat I actually had. Because if I still had my Black Magic bat, that brought me some good luck in my Little League days.
Magic, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Should we say that's probably a bad sign then that it was actually a good luck charm? So, it's like some sort of voodoo magic going on now. Now we're about to see how much it would have brought if I lived in Louisiana.
Right.
So, all right, that's cool. So we talked for a good hour right now. So I guess let's get into this. We're actually just getting to it now because normally I actually like asking this in the beginning of the interview. But I guess what sort of gear are you guys using for your production? I guess also same with the instrument brand and like everything else.
You want to go first, Kevin?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So
Or right to left now. We do that way.
All right. So I use Logic for mixing, mastering, and everything. As far as like, I'll use different plugins anywhere from there's a lot of Isotope plugins I like. Waves has some plugins I like. I've downloaded some free ones. Use some from Slate Digital as well. If anybody, there's a plugin and a guy that we actually play music with and stuff. He turned me on to it. It was called Fresh Air from Slate. It's amazing plugin. It does really good stuff to cymbals, strings. It's a good one. But no, when we record, I usually set up a session in Logic, and then we'll go through and I'll go down, record their parts and everything, and I'll do all the mixing and mastering in Logic itself. And as far as gear, I use I have an LTD. It's an EC1000 Deluxe. That's my primarily the guitar I use. I have another Squire Strat that's got a humbucker and 2 single coils on it that I use on some of the songs on that. I have an LTD 5-string bass. I'm pretty LTD loyal, and mostly the reason for that is I like active pickups. So I everything I try to play has that active pickup sound in it. We don't really use amps unless we're playing live. Like for recording, we record, and I record a DI and then use an amp simulator and EQ it really well and go through and double tracks and add chorus, reverb, and all that stuff from there. And I do all that in Logic itself. And then I use, like, for my stuff, I have just a little Focusrite solo that I just plug in. I can record vocals. I can record guitar, bass, whatever I need to do. On half of the first of the songs on the album, I actually it's all MIDI drums that I turned into Wave and, processed it and made it sound good. And then we had a friend of ours who has a studio go through and lay down drum tracks for the other half of them. And then I would just, of course, mix and master it and just fold it into the mix there to make it sound good. But that's basically the gist of what I got. I got, as far as my studio monitors, I use KRK Rockets. They're pretty awesome. I'd suggest those to anybody. And mine are probably about 10 years old at this point, and they're still killing it. So, but yeah, that's basically about it. I think I use an M Audio MIDI keyboard and stuff. I don't really use a lot of my other guitars for recording. Those are pretty much the only 2 that I use for that.
Yeah.
So
I guess Jamie, since he's always in the middle.
Yeah. So at my place, I've got a studio at my house as well, and the first songs that we recorded leading up to the recording of the album, a lot of the work was done at my place through me and Jeff, and we would send back and forth to Kevin, and I use Ableton, and I've got the interface, the same thing that Kevin's got.
Focusrite, yeah.
Right.
You have a bigger version of it though.
Yeah. I got Mackie Studio speakers. The guitar that I used on a lot of the recordings, the music that I played was done on a Bullet Strat. I use a Les Paul style guitar a little bit, but for the most part, it was done on my Strat. But yeah, that's about all I have. That's all I used anyway. Like for live, like when we play live, I've got a Line 6 Catalyst, the 200 watt Line 6. and I use a Boss ME80 multi-effects pedal. So that's about it.
I'm gonna say, actually, what's up, Jeff? I was falling asleep.
No, I was listening.
Okay, all right, and Jeff.
As far as recording stuff, I use all their stuff.
Well, you use your garage band too.
Yeah, that's right. Kevin finally trained me on a little bit of garage band to send some vocals on some of the songs through it, and I think a couple of my rhythm guitars on some of the songs I sent. I think from my garage band to Kevin, but so I use garage bands because my work's normally simple, where they do most of the guitar tracks, where I just do the rhythm. But as far as equipment I use, I play a Martin Grand concert when we play live on the when I need to use my acoustic, and been playing a little bit on. I bought me an LTD electric guitar last year or something.
Yeah, it's an EC 256, I think is what it is.
Yeah,
nice.
I've been
cobalt blue.
Yep. Been playing with it on when we practice, and I'll play a little bit of it sometimes. But most of the time, I stick to my grand concert because most songs that I will play on live is they're acoustically driven. Of course, the electrics is in there too, but it just needs that acoustic sound to fill it up. So, like One More Time, you'll hear acoustic in that. That's me. That's my grand concert. So, yeah, but that's about all the quick. Oh, I got a Line 6 amp. Yep, for my electric. So it's about all my equipment.
And if anybody listens to some of our releases, if they come across the Carpenter, that was a Taylor that we used on it, the acoustic. That was a Taylor.
I was gonna say, I've always been amazed like how they switched from like heavy guitar work to like acoustic right afterwards. So I always thought it was like maybe a pedal, or at least something they would step on whenever they wanted to switch from like electric guitar to acoustic.
With we play Believe, I actually do a guitar switch in the middle of that song.
We do it live, yeah.
We do it live, so.
He'll play because we've not played Believe, I don't know if you listened to it, but on the album, like Kevin mentioned earlier, I'd always heard that's the oldest song on the album. That was written 20 plus years ago. And when I wrote it, I wrote it with acoustic guitar. And when I sent it to Kevin, I said, I've always wanted to hear this song. I think this song needs a piano. I've always heard it with a piano. So Believe is on the album. It's got the piano. And of course, Kevin, I called you Kevin. But
we'll just take the K out. That's okay.
My son's Evan, but anyway, he added some strings, and of course, right at the end, everything comes in with the electrics and the drums on the end of the song. But when we do it live, we've not done it the piano style yet. Maybe later on down the line we will. But Jaime will play the acoustic, and he's got his electric on his back. And he'll play the acoustic part up to when all the electrics come in, and he'll swap, and I'll play the last verse with my acoustic, and then we go into the ending of the song, which it builds up all the way through. I don't know if you've got to hear it yet or not, but
I've heard a couple, yeah. And I would say the build up to the outro is the term that they would correctly try to use.
There you go.
But let's hope it's not politically correct, that sort of thing. So, so I guess we can go ahead and jump into like what you guys plan to do for the rest of the year. I guess you plan on touring anywhere else, or do you just strictly stick to your church? And then I guess what are plans and goals do you have for this year in 2024?
As of right now, the goal was start playing the first of next year. Because we was going to release the album, let it get out, let people hear, get to know the songs. Because you hate to roll into a place and nobody knows your music. You know what I mean? So unless people heard these songs 20 years ago and probably don't remember them, they're not acquainted with these songs. So we want to release the album. We weren't going to play till beginning of next year, but now we had a buddy of ours, which is where Jaime goes to church, the pastor of our church. We did play back in January. Our first 5 singles we'd released from September to January. We went up there and played a youth event up there. And we played up there. We did play up there. We're playing the 29th of September, a festival in our town here. We've agreed to do it on the 29th of September. But nothing planned the rest of the year as of now. We're looking into starting next year, first of the year, kind of
doing festivals and stuff like
festivals, next year we're going to ramp up and play as much as we can. Yeah. So
we starting to write songs now for the next set of next album or whatever we decide to come out and release.
That's the goal. That's the goal for now, though, is to compose another 8 or 10 songs and have them record ready, but as the new year comes around, dedicating some time to doing that for sure. Yep. Because playing out and all that's great, and we enjoy it, but at the end of the day too, like, we want to keep people engaged, so it's important that we release new material. You know what I'm saying? So like that's definitely in the future.
Winter time is our downtime, and like Jaime said, probably this winter we'll start working on the next phase in recording and stuff. So we'll just see. We'll see what goes. What songs is going to come out later on.
I was going to say, how bad does winter normally get in West Virginia? And you guys get I don't think as bad as how Buffalo, New York can kind of get where there's so much feet of snow and everything too.
The past couple of years, it's been actually pretty mild.
Yeah.
But, like in 2016, we had somewhat of a bad winter. Like that was the last really.
It's been a while. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think 2016 was the last winter we had feet of snow. But, hey, we're hopeful, right? Except this guy. Because when it snows, he has to work.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking too, that must be a kind of a nightmare too, with trying to snow the driveways or shovel the snow off the driveway and everything too. I would imagine you just have to get on your quad bike and just use that as your own little personal shoving device, that sort of thing too.
Yeah, we all got 4-wheel drives.
Yeah, lock her in and go.
I'd say you're not a true West Virginian unless you got your own little 4-wheel drive, that sort of thing too. So
yeah. You don't buy a truck unless all 4 wheels can pull.
Yep.
And I think the requirement, or at least what people want to at least have in a truck, is it has to carry 6 tons or something like that, to be honest. So you got your own little big horse trailer on the back of it too. So that seems to be a prerequisite these days when you want to get those kinds of trucks. Let's see, one of my friends, actually my dad's friend, because he actually helped us move some stones in the other day. And it was easy to shovel out of it too, because it seems like they raised the back end of the truck up a little bit too. So now it's a little bit harder just to shovel it all out without doing all that too. I think it was actually a Ford 2006 or something like that. It was an older Ford sort of brand truck. So I guess what brand are your trucks?
I drive I just actually bought a new truck. It's a Ford.
My wife's got a Ford.
That's because of me.
I have a Ford and I don't like it.
Ford man.
I was gonna say, Kevin, maybe I think you needed to go for the Chevy brand, to be honest, or something like that.
Yeah, I have a Chevy car and a Ford truck, and I need to get rid of that truck and get something else.
All right. Best of luck on your journey, because good luck with the insurance afterwards, because that's always a pain in the dick afterwards. So. All right, so we are almost out of time, but we actually just got a couple more questions here. Actually, a couple of fun ones.
You're fine.
So I guess let's go ahead and jump into the fun questions here. So I guess let's work down the line. I guess whoever wants to go first. What is your favorite movie?
Cool Hand Luke.
Cool Hand Luke. Now we cue the Jeopardy music.
That's a good question.
Good question.
I'm a super nerd, so I love.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I said I'm a
I
super
mean, Kevin, you struck me
nerd.
like you would be like to the Marvel and DC, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. But I'm more along the lines of like Star Wars. Those are my favorite. That's my favorite movies of all time. Lord of the Rings is really awesome. As far as like mainstream stuff, Fight Club is one of my favorite movies of all time. Man, I really
Roadhouse.
don't know. Roadhouse. Roadhouse.
I was
No,
like, you just do the full 360 kick and just kick somebody
Yeah.
in the face with it.
yeah. Jeff,
Okay.
what about you?
Favorite movie of all time, Field of Dreams.
Kevin Costner, that one.
If you build it, they will come.
That's my favorite movie of all time. Yep. Without a doubt.
I can say why, because you guys like baseball too, so you must come walking out of the cornfield too, like the old, what was that, like 1930s sort of uniform they're wearing or
Yeah.
something.
Good movie.
It is actually, yeah.
Yep.
I would say I forget which one of you said Star Wars too, I guess. Did any of you see the Ahsoka premieres, I guess?
I haven't. I'm going to watch it tonight.
I just realized I didn't even know it was on there. I just me and my wife's been watching a series, Murders in
In the building.
the Building. Yeah, Steve Martin and them.
Yeah.
And during the ads, it's been showing the Star Wars, the new series with what's her name. Yeah.
Ahsoka, yeah. It actually does look pretty good, so I think we have to at least see how it looks, because I know everybody's ripping on Disney these days too, so
Oh, yeah.
we'll have to see if this is their Hail Mary to save the franchise, I guess. So,
It is the way.
It is the
well, actually, that's a Mandalorian, but close enough. All right. So, what's your favorite food? Let's say you all American.
I am a hot dog guy. I can eat hot dogs 7 days a week, but not Southern style hot dogs, like Northern style hot dogs with coleslaw and chili. Like, I love hot dogs and pizza. I like pizza.
And chili dog, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Kevin.
I'm going to go with steak, man. I love a good steak.
I'm gonna say you must be wolfing with that when you go to Texas Roadhouse, or
Oh, yeah.
I guess I didn't know there was one in Morgantown. I guess is
Yeah,
Texas
they
Roadhouse
just,
or
they
Texas
just opened
Longhorn.
one in Charleston this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or at Southridge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Texas is expanding its borders now with
Yeah.
restaurant chains. So
It's the
everything's always bigger in Texas.
That's
So
right.
Mine's pizza. I love
Pizza?
pizza. I can eat pizza anytime. My favorite pizza is Giovanni's.
I was gonna say, do you go with the meat eaters or something like that, or do you try to go vegan style?
Nah, I like pepperoni, cheese, and mushrooms. That's my go-to. Pepperoni,
I'd say-
cheese, and mushroom. Can't beat it.
I would say we kind of branched out to doing like deluxes now, which has like some meats on, like your pepperoni and sausage, but also has like veggies on it too,
Yeah, Supreme.
like peppers.
Yeah, Supreme's good.
I had to say, because some people actually mentioned they like some sort of Asian foods too, so I was always curious how far it actually branches out at times, because unfortunately Chinese food gets Americanized, because all it really is
yeah.
just rice thrown into like a pan and with like grease and butter and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that's why I brought it up earlier, but it was just a nice little tease. But all right, and I guess favorite drinks, I guess one in terms of alcohol and then one in terms of non-alcoholic.
Well, I don't drink anymore, but when I guess I can go there. When I did drink, like I was a big fan of IPAs, but like I said, I haven't drank in years. And as far as non-alcoholic drinks go, like apple juice, like I can drink apple juice by the gallons. I love apple juice.
Yeah. Yes,
Am
Jeffrey
I
Kelly.
going?
Go
Okay.
on.
I mean, they're throwing you under the bus, man.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm the same with Jamie. I don't drink anymore. When I did drink, Crown and Coke. That was my go-to, and my go-to now is this guy.
Oh,
I
jeez.
drink too many of those all day long. But yeah, I'm an energy drink machine. I have to. I got to stay awake to do things.
And Jeff?
When I did drink heavy,
I drank Joe Sakis.
Jack
That's
Coke, and back in the day, Bud Light. That was of course yeah. Now Mountain Dew. I'm a Mountain Dew, and I
you do the do.
Mountain Dew for probably 5 or 6 years because it's I kicked it to the curb and I'm being dead honest. I could walk by a cooler in them 5, 6 years, be in a gas station or something, and I could smell that Mountain Dew through that cooler. You talk about temptation, and then finally I gave in, and now I'm back to drinking my Dew.
Thanks to my wife.
Yeah,
Because my wife's like Jeff. She drinks Mountain Dew by the gallons.
that's my go-to. Can't beat a good cold Mountain Dew. Anytime
It's almost like
or night, anytime.
I was just thinking it was a tree of knowledge. It was not an apple. It was a Mountain Dew instead. Until we pulled down. Jeff, you are so guilty, man. Come on.
He's drinking one right now.
Yeah,
That's
I got
okay.
one at my feet.
I mean, I think Kevin was drinking his Monster not too long ago or something.
Oh yeah,
So.
I already finished it off though.
Okay. I was going to say high as a kite too, but that was the wrong sort of thing too. He's bouncing off the walls, that sort of thing. It's actually good, I guess. So did you guys have bad experiences when you were drinking? I guess were you guys heavy drinkers back then?
Yeah, I drink a lot. I drink way too much, and actually, the Carpenter, it talks about like I realized the death of me was at my own hands, and like I was just like self-destructing, like in every avenue of life, and a lot of it was due to the alcohol consumption because, like, I wasn't like dealing with my issues and my problems. I was just covering up with alcohol, and it come to a point in my life to where I was like, I can't do this anymore, and by the grace of God, I reach out to God because I honestly I didn't have anywhere else to reach. And over time, I'm not going to say that it was overnight because it wasn't. In this lifestyle as a Christian, that people say that it's easy, but it's not. To be a Christian, it's a constant effort and a constant work. You're moving towards a goal. And the journey that I've been on for the past some time now, if I wouldn't have found my way to that, it's hard to say where I would have ended up if I would have kept on the track that I was on, because truly I was self-destructive, like from mental health issues to relationship issues, and a lot of it was due to alcohol.
I guess Jeff and Kevin, where was your journey kind of similar to Jamie's, or I guess was it a little bit easier giving up?
I was more in the, I drank a lot, but I didn't only just drink. I anything pre-19 August of 99, they ain't a drug before that time that I did not try. I did not at least one time. And then I had my drugs of choice. I preferred that, I drank on top of it, but you take uppers and downers and psychedelics and all this stuff, and I was in a point in my life that I didn't know if I was going or coming. I didn't know. I was a crazy man. I'll just be honest with you. I was mentally just confused, mentally destroyed. My mind was destroyed, and I was destroying my mind and depressed. So depressed, and why I look back now and I had no reason to be depressed. That's been 20 some years ago, but
separation from God.
But it was the separation from God, and I knowed right from wrong. It was choices that I made early, and I was, my first beer I ever drunk, I was 14 years old. First joint I ever smoked, I was 14 years old. Drugs was right there, and then of course it led into heavier drugs. And as I got older, through my late teenage years, and that was my lifestyle. When I got up in the morning, that's what I was looking for. When I woke up, I was looking for my high. That's what I lived for. And so I loved it. I tell everybody I loved my drugs, and just like the Word of God says, there is pleasure in sin for a season. I had pleasure in it. I enjoyed it. I really did. And but I got to the point that it was controlling me, and I had no control over it. It's like I wanted to quit. And it was, during the time I didn't know what was going on, but it was the conviction between the inner man, my soul, that knows deep down there's a creator, and I know that I was separated from him, and my inner being knowed what I needed to do, and I wanted to do it, but it had so much control over me that I couldn't shake it. I couldn't do it. And then finally, when I accepted Christ into my life, it was gone. I mean, just that night. Now, some people that don't happen to. Some people it does happen to. But God had a purpose for my life, and I ran from it for a while. I look back, I was running from God. I was running where I knowed I needed to be and the things I needed to do with my life. My oldest son was born during that time period, and I was a wreck. I was a wreck. And but when I give in to God, He changed me, and I've never been the same. I tell everybody this, and I am tempted every day of my life. There's not a morning that I wake up my eyes that temptation is there to go get that high. But the desire to do it is gone. And that's God in me. That's Him fighting that warfare. He took the desire from me to do that. And that's the key to it. Without Him, we're nothing. With Him, we can do all things, and through and by His grace. It's His grace, His love, His mercy that keeps us, and has kept me all these years from not going and, seeking that high. But yeah, I was pretty bad shape once upon a time. It really was. Go ahead, Kate.
I mean, I can't say much different than what y'all have already said. That was the same thing with me. Struggled with drug and alcohol addiction for years in the early parts of my adult life. Really, I'd kind of slowed down a little bit once I met my wife, because she basically put me in my place, and it was either her or the drugs. And I still drank up until we found out she was pregnant with Caden, my son. And after that, I drank a few more times after that later on, whenever he was still younger. But it's always going to be something that's always there. I'm going to be an addict for the rest of my life, just like you said. It's just some little can trigger something, and those urges start to come back and everything. And it's just being, like you said, being strong in God and making sure your spirit is filled with the right things, so that way you don't go seeking other things. And I don't know if it'll ever end, but it's always going to be a battle, and it's just, just trying to make sure you keep your head right, keep your eyes on the prize, and keep yourself prayed up and your spirit fed. And I think, that helps me a lot in the situation.
I see. And it's good to have you guys along for the ride, I guess. How many years have you guys been sober?
11.
11? Jeff?
August 22nd, 99. I have not had a drug in my system.
So going on 24, I guess.
Illegally in my
Yeah.
system.
I think, I need to think back. The last drink I had was 9 years ago. That was the last drink I had.
All right. Congratulations, there, guys. Hopefully you guys
Thank
keep the journey up there, too. So, and actually, we'll kind of fuse that with like the very last question, too, as well as like one that we talked about advice and that sort of thing, too. But we'll get to that in a little bit. For the last fun questions right here, I guess, what is currently your favorite song? I just get like a short description, like why it is.
I'll go first.
Yeah. All right.
Right now, and Jeff knows this. I've told him about it. I had been on a little Jelly Roll kick. So the song "Save Me" by Jelly Roll, I love that song, and that goes back to the addiction thing and stuff too. But it's just so it's real. It's a real song. You can feel what he's singing, and it's very relatable to me. So yeah, that's probably my favorite right now.
I was gonna say, I was hoping it was not the Barbie song because of
Oh,
Barbie
no.
Heimer, that sort of thing. So
Nah.
it was real, apparently. So it was real.
Yeah.
All right. Good choice. I guess Jamie or Jeff, whoever wants to go next.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Okay. I don't know. This is a hard question for me. I'll tell you a song that I've listened to several times over the past week. And it's kind of like out of the ordinary, but there's a group called Seven Handle Circus, and they did a cover of "Take on Me" by Aha, and I'm absolutely crazy about it. I think it's really cool. And Cleverly's, they covered "By the Way." I think that's the name of it, by the Chili Peppers. I think it's a cool. It's like newgrass, kind of bluegrass, newgrasses. But those are two songs that I've listened to quite a bit over the past week.
Well, I was hoping that was a mom just walking through the front door there. So
I'm back.
okay, okay, and Jeff.
Actually, I was pulling it up here. I have played the guts out of it here lately. So Will I, 100 billion times by United Hillsong. I love that song, and I bet you if I ain't played it here lately, I don't know. That I come across that song, which I love the song Oceans too, that they listen to a lot lately. That's a heavy song. Good song.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I spoke over you. What was the name of the song?
So Will I, 100 billion times by United Hillsong.
Hillsong United.
Hillsong United.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
Yep. So Will I, 100 billion times.
All right, that's pretty cool. So we are down to the last question right here. Did you guys have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump into it?
Have you listened to any of our? Have you listened to our music? Much?
I think I gave you guys up for one of them. I think it was actually I think one was it Above My Eyes or I Can't Believe My Eyes or something like that.
Can't believe my eyes. Yeah.
What was your thought on that?
It was pretty good. I would have to say when you say rock group at first, I was thinking like, was this like something similar to like how the old classic rock used to be too? So that was the thought process going in. So I was trying to listen to it too, and then I'm trying to remember the other one. I actually gave that one last night, and I don't know if it was Believe or it's gonna drive me crazy now because I can picture it too. I was listening because I was trying to get my own little research on it too. But in terms of production, it was very well done. So
Cool.
I imagine that was all Kevin's work right there.
Yeah.
Good job, Kevin.
Yep. Good job, Kevin.
Yeah,
Attaboy.
he gets a Dundee Award for that.
Dundee.
Yeah.
The Dundee.
I was also trying to think if it was like somebody else who was like, I guess, who was a special guest per se, because I think I was reading the comments. I thought they were saying like somebody had shown up and was singing vocals on it, but I think it was all Jamie or Jeff.
The live version. The live.
No, this one was YouTube. This one was just your YouTube song, and I think it was think now. Let me go check actually, because now that part's gonna drive me crazy. Hold up a sec. I guess in the meantime, did you have like any other questions in the meantime?
Uh, I know you're a drummer, right?
I am a drummer, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got on, checked you out there a little bit. What got you started playing music?
Well, you mean like when I was a wee lad and that sort of thing, and like how
Yeah.
it was actually my parents, or more so my dad, because he used to, parents used to like always have like the CD collection, vinyls, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He got me into the classic rock, the Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Dio, and all those guys. So there was that, and then it was just something that built over time. In fact, ironically, he was actually into Metallica, believe it or not. And out of like all the thrash metal groups that came out in the 80s, it was strictly Metallica. Like he didn't get like Slayer, Anthrax, or any of those other groups.
Jackal.
He's or Jackal, yeah. Actually, I don't know if you ever heard of Jackal, to be honest. In fact, I didn't know anything about him until he was on that saloon show that was, I think it was True TV, I think it was. It was in Sturgis or something like that. And unfortunately, it's not on TV anymore because unfortunately it burned to the ground. And there was that. He didn't really get into much in the 80s. I mean, he knew about Judas Priest and like some of those other 80s groups, but he never like got into it. He never became like a diehard fan. He was always your 60s and 70s guy too. So there was that. And then really a friend of mine just introduced me to like alternative. There was like your alternative metal, for instance, like Under Oath or something like that. I found death metal really on my own. So that was...
Is that
The band was called Dying Fetus, so unfortunately,
I
a lot of
know
people
who
look at me funny.
I know who you're talking about.
is that the genre that you lean more, towards, is like the more metal aspect?
I'd say yeah, because one, it's fun to play. It's also a good exercise routine. So every now and again, I visit some punk. Actually, my recent drum cover was from the band Against Me.
Yeah.
The song was Thrash Unreal. So that one I played, and then sometimes it might be a little rock if I'm feeling in the mood for it. Sometimes it is metal. Like this newest one that's going to be coming up is actually from a Swedish metal group called In Flames. I think
Yeah. I've seen In Flames. They're good live.
the song is Colony. I will spoil that much. So I'm actually looking forward to it too.
What kind of
So,
kit do you play?
right now it's an electric drum set. So like Kevin was mentioned earlier, where it's like MIDI notes and everything else. It's a Roland TD-25K, although I am thinking of upgrading it, to be honest, to like a hybrid Roland set. I can't really think of the brand or the full brand name, to be honest, but it is still Roland. But at least looks more like a traditional drum set from the looks of it when you look at it. So,
Does your kit, does it have the mesh heads, or is it like the rubber pads?
it's... I couldn't honestly tell you, to be honest. I'm just asking for heads that can at least hold together for my months and days of abuse whenever I'm pounding on the snare, to be honest. So I would say mesh heads. I would say mesh heads because I think the guy who recently fixed my snare after, actually, believe it or not, I was doing a Metallica song and I was just near the end, and unfortunately it split
Yep.
just as we were near the end. So I honestly thought about actually posting that one just to like, look at this little hair at the end right here too. So that's really about it. So
Cool, man.
I forgot to mention, kind of going back to your earlier point with getting into music, was actually, in terms of drums, it was actually with the video game Rock Band that got me into drumming wise.
Play a little bit of Tom Sawyer.
Little Tom Sawyer, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I played that one too. I struggled, but I got through it. I'd say that. So can't say I aced it, but at least I got through it with A plus. I got through it with an A plus, so that's all that matters.
My wife band on expert on the drums.
I could actually do it. I could actually do the majority of songs on expert.
I'm like, where's this from? She said, I don't know. I just know how to do it.
And it's deceiving too, because unfortunately,
Down with them.
I would say it's deceiving too, because you think it's like faster whenever you're seeing like the yellow notes, which is meant to simulate your hi-hat. And it's not how it works. So sometimes it's a lot slower. It's like, if it's like simple 4/4, for instance, too. Then it just lied to like make it a little bit difficult too. So what can you do? All right. Took me a while just to get on YouTube. Just the 6 hours for a lifetime. Actually, I just typed it in too, and then it was like, it was What You Need. That was the song. It was What You Need.
What you need.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be sure. So, but go back to it. Brilliant, well done. So,
Yeah.
excellent to all you guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. And I guess anything else before we jump right into it?
Nah. I guess
All right. Here we go. So for the last question right here, this one we could certainly tie into like advice as well as like some of your life stories that we kind of talked about in this interview too. So, given what COVID has done, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward, hopefully to a post-COVID world, even though we could kind of say we're kind of living into it, but it seems to regress back into it for some reason. So,
My advice is to stay humble and love your brother, because truly that's how we love God. And by loving your brother, there's no other way that you can grow as a person without showing compassion to your fellow man. And as far as the musicians go, I think that it's important to show support for all the like for us, for example, like we're on all these different pages and all these different indie pages, and the level of support that we get from people that don't even know us, it's just very humbling. And I think that it's important to be a support system for especially other indie artists and help further their mission just the same way that we're trying to push through.
That's good. I like that. Support local music, support indie music, help everybody out. We're all trying to reach the same goal.
Yep.
In a world we're in a time period, you know, like Jaime said, love. God is love, you know. I'm not Bible thumping here, so I'm gonna speak from my heart. God is love. You take God out of your life, then there's no love. There's a fabricated love that if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Which that's not true love. True love is denying yourself, no matter what the circumstance is. And that's very hard to do, putting yourself out of the way. God is love. You take God out of the world, you don't have true love. So just absolutely love people when
They don't deserve
when they don't even to the vilest person in this world, you've got to show love and mercy, compassion. Everybody has different looks and views on things. There's nothing wrong with that. In the end of the day, Apostle Paul said, we know in part, we see in part, we prophesy in part. So that tells me, you know, not one person knows everything. If we look at the world and society the way it is, you know, my grandmother has passed away many years now. One thing she always told me, you know, the truth will stand when the world's on fire. You know, there's a truth out there. There's real truth in this world, but you've got to find it. You've got to be open. You got to keep your heart open to it, your mind open to it. When you find that truth and that love, you have peace with not only mankind, but your Creator. I believe that with all my heart. And you're able to, no matter what state you find yourself in, whether it's another COVID pandemic or something else would pop up on you, no matter what state you find yourself in, as Apostle Paul said, he said, I found myself to be content. So that helps you be content with the situation, and it helps you deal with the situations that you come into in life. And I believe the key to it's love, you know. And there's a scripture in the Bible that a nation that turns its back against God is turned into hell. You know, you take God out, you take love out. And Christ himself said, because the love of many shall wax cold, you know. He says that for a minute because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. In other words, good shall be called evil, evil shall be called good, and we're in that time period. We're in a crucial time period as a world, not only as a nation that we live in, but as a world. So love's the key, man. Love's the key.
Spoken like a bunch of true prodigies, because normally I always say it for one person too. So, but thank you so much there for your message at all.
Yeah.
I would say before we do close, I strongly recommend you guys check out the Exodus series by Jordan Peterson. Have you guys seen that yet?
I actually have watched a few of his podcasts. I'm not sure that that's what you're talking about. I've seen some of his podcasts before, like his change in mindset and then his post-change mindset. It's very interesting. Some compelling thoughts, actually. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Actually, this one was a little bit of like a roundtable sort of a discussion. He had like Dennis Prager and Jonathan Peugeot and a few other guys on too.
I actually have seen that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yep.
It's from Daily Wire, yeah.
Yep.
So I guess Jeff or Kevin, they haven't seen yet. I'd strongly recommend you check it out.
I haven't seen it. I'll check it out though.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. So Jeff, Jamie, Kevin, we reached the end of my podcast right here. We've gone over the 2-hour mark, so this could be an interesting movie right now. So all right. So hopefully whoever made it this far, congratulations, because boy, this was about the length of a movie right here. And actually, we covered a whole lot of good details, and I think at times it got pretty deep too with some of the personal stories you guys shared too. So thank you all so much right there. I guess, do you have any final words or any shout outs you want to say before we close?
Thank you for having us on. It means the world, and the support, man, we really appreciate it. And if in the future, we can do anything for you, don't hesitate. Just let us know.
All right.
They echo what
I'm assuming
Jamie said. Thank you for having us. Much appreciated. Like you say, all music matters, and we're in a genre ourselves, and appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, man. This is good. This is good what you're doing. Thank you. And shout out to my family. My wife, my kids, my church family at Rocky Hill, and a shout out to Brandon and Gina Dotson, our drummer and bass player, plays live with us, and Brandon plays on the album. So,
yeah,
yep,
Kevin.
I basically covered everything. Thank you again for having us on here. It's been great. Had a great time talking to you. Like Jeff said, shout out to my family, my son who does some of those little edits that you see on YouTube and stuff on our shorts, and my wife for putting up with me. And yeah, Brandon and Gina, they're awesome. Shout out to Dan McCune who does our artwork and stuff. He's a pretty awesome dude. But yeah, thank you very much for having us. It's been a great experience.
All right. And I guess how else can people reach you? You guys on Spotify? I know you mentioned about Facebook too. I guess how else can people reach you?
We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, any place you can stream music at, we're there. And then Jeff we have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We haven't really dove into the TikTok stuff yet, but
as I stay away from that one, it's a little bit strange to be honest. So
yeah.
All right. So, all right, everyone. My guest today was Kevin, Jeff, and Jamie, hailing from West Virginia, part of the band 6 Hours for a Lifetime. Go check out the music on all the socials. Hit them up on the socials as well. Y'all stay safe. Stay tuned, y'all.
Right on.
See you later. Thank you.
God bless.
You too.
Yeah.